Well, good morning and greetings and salutations to everybody out there in YouTube land. I'm your host once again, Dan Thornton. I want to thank you all for tuning in today for Lions Talk Live Morning Show edition. And you know what? It's a great day to be a Lions fan. It's a great day to wake up and say we're one day closer to, man, who would have ever guessed, a second home playoff game this season. And you know what? Win this game, and we are going to be in the NFC Championship, going from the final eight to the final four, or the elite eight to the final four, whatever you want to say. And it's just crazy times for Detroit Lions fans. Before we get into today's content, though, if you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so, making our push to get to 5,700 before kickoff. And we've got about, 30 or so subscribers away from making that happen. Really hoping we can make a push for 5,800 before kickoff Sunday. Now, if you're also enjoying the video, if you would, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. And last but not definitely least, if you're considering buying or selling property in the state of Michigan, give me a call or shoot me a text. If you're outside of the state, you can still contact me. I might be able to help you out or get you in contact with somebody that I would trust and recommend to you. Done real estate for over 30 years or so now. So if you've got any questions considering buying or selling property, commercial property, vacant land, a second home, primary home, whatever it is, give me a call, shoot me a text. All right. We got a bit of a game this weekend. I've started analyzing some film on everything as far as the two teams. And yes, we did play earlier this year. Yes, we had some guys out. Yes, there are going to be some differences from both teams, just as both teams prepare for this weekend's game. All right, let's go ahead and get over to the comments section, see what you guys got to say. Jason Green, salutations from the frigid cold of Minnesota. Last Bucks road game, we were missing Jonah Jackson, Gibbs, Pascal, CJ, Houston, Branch. Home field is worth 10 points in my eyes. Lions 34-17 over the Bucks. All right, we got Robert. Good morning, Dan and crew. Good morning to you too. All right, Robert G. You have to feel pretty confident for the win with the home field advantage. You know, it's definitely going to be a factor, and you hear more and more the little tidbits that come out of L.A., how much they really felt that impacted on the second half of the game. And we all know the Rams had to use 2 timeouts to get out of different situations because of basically communication adjustments that weren't going as well, and they didn't want to take penalties. In hindsight, maybe McVay should have taken a penalty or two to keep those timeouts for late in the game. Maybe it would have been a difference. The other side of that is, of course, if you get the penalties and the yards, maybe you don't get a first down, don't keep drives going. So kind of a him and haw relationship. All right, Gary, what do you got? Lions playoff win against Stafford was righteous. You're not wrong there. But good Lord, you're killing me with Cam Sutton and with Houston. Is there another bug situation going on? So we'll start with Sutton. Sutton, if you look at how he plays and how Pittsburgh used him, it was mostly in zone coverages. You see a lot of similarities with what he does post-snap and then during the play to disrupt the wide receivers. You watch the Pittsburgh Steelers, especially this past weekend's game, you saw a lot of similarities with their DBs. Sutton is not a number one corner. I think we'd all agree with that. He's performed very well at times this year, but some of that might have been simply that teams picked on Jerry Jacobs more. So Sutton was a little protected. Houston, I don't have any indication that it's a bug situation. It really just seems to be that the coaching staff or maybe the medical staff for the Lions just haven't fully written off the okay for him to be on the field. It seems odd to me that it's gotten this long. Like, I really thought he would have been back early in December. And then, I reported to you guys, excuse me, that it sounded like the plans were initially to have him back right around the Cowboys game. And I'm going off memory, so don't, hold me to that, but that sounds about right. But for whatever reason, he hasn't returned. Maybe he's back this week. And if he is, that's just another weapon to throw at quarterbacks. Let's wait and see what shakes out. Hey, Jason, thank you very much for this. I will enjoy a hot dog and a Mountain Dew this morning on that. Thank you. Do you believe this team is this team is team of destiny. Prediction, oh, great Dan Adamas. I'll have to ask the Dan Adamas when I get a free moment. But if I was him, I would say that I think there are a lot of things lining up for sure. To me, when I did my preseason predict or a postseason prediction, boy, that's a one to say. The Rams game was the real question mark to me. I thought whoever came out of the Tampa Bay Philadelphia matchup would be a favorable opponent for Detroit. Now, all that being said, I did think if Philadelphia won the playoff game, which I did predict Tampa Bay would, that maybe they could start righting the ship, getting some confidence back, getting some desire to play football back. Because watching them the last few weeks and then the Tampa Bay playoff game, they just didn't look like they even wanted to be out there. I mean, they didn't look like they wanted to tackle. They didn't look like they want to perform. They didn't look like they want to get paid to play football. The reasons why, I mean, I'm not even going to worry about it because it has nothing to do with us. But, so you get past this weekend's game, and then you look at the other side of the bracket. Green Bay did us a big favor in the fact that you get to keep another playoff game in Detroit by beating the Cowboys. Green Bay, make no mistake, I like a lot of things they are doing, and I do believe they have a real opportunity to win Sunday. I'm going to say that. I predicted that. I'm on the record for saying it. Well, I say all that. Maybe they'll lose by 50. I don't know, but I do believe Green Bay wins. We're hosting the NFC Championship. It just seems, man, oh man, you couldn't have drawn it up any better at home against a team you've had so much history with over the last 80 years or so. You're asking if it's a situation of destiny. I'm going to say yes. Jason, unsung hero against the Rams. Graham Glasgow stepped up against Aaron Donald and the rest of that interior Rams D line, giving up 0 pressures, 0 sacks, and 30 pass blocking snaps. Yeah, the offensive line, I think you're right, Jason, played incredibly well, and they all need some praise for it for sure. Glasgow, it'll be real interesting to see what they do with him in the offseason. Do they re-sign him? I think you should. It's obviously going to come down to the dollars and cents of it all, the financing. Marker, good morning, coach and crew. How can rookies avoid overconfidence when facing a team they have already beaten? I hope you rely on your coaching staff and then the veterans. I mean, so just my example, Jalen Rees-Maybin, Taylor Deckard, some of these dudes who have been here a minute, they're probably grabbing some guys and say, you don't overlook anybody. You don't disrespect anybody by doing that. If it was me as a coach, I would have a meeting with them. And it would have already happened probably and said, hey, you want to show respect towards everybody you play. How you do that? You whoop their butts. You beat them down by 20, 80, 90, 1,000 points. Why? Because until you do it, they have every opportunity to play. You show that other team enough respect that they demand your best efforts at all times. If you're not putting out your best efforts out there, you're not only disrespecting that team, you were disrespecting your teammates. So, do some stuff like that to help, keep people focused and locked in on the goals. Miles, what do you got? Or maybe the vets are overconfident. I don't think there'll be any overconfidence. It would be one thing if you guys if the Lions had done this before, but they know what's on the line. You win this game, you're in the NFC Championship, you're in the Final Four, you're 1 win away from the Super Bowl. So I'm gonna guess we're ready to go come Sunday. Michael, howdy, Dan, Lions fail. Any word on Houston? No, Michael, we should have some today. But again, I thought last week, since he was a full participant all week, he would have been on the roster come Sunday. So ultimately, end of the day, he can do whatever in practice unless MCDC specifically comes out and says, yeah, he's playing this week. We're not going to know until they do the inactives on Sunday or game day. Uncle Buzz, what do you got? Did the Bucs look that good because the Eagles played that poorly? I think there's a lot of truth to that. So start with the quarterback play. I get Hurts is, playing hurt, but the other part of it is, man, he just looks like he's really regressed. Now, is that because of injuries? Is that because of, 20 other things? I don't know. But the Bucs were real confident. We're going to blitz the heck out of you, leave everybody in zero coverage or, man across the board with no over-the-top help or underneath help, and you ain't going to do nothing against us. And they had really just one drive where I thought in the entire game that was any kind of significance. Outside of that, There was a lot of missed throws, misreads, pressure. Just nobody for the Philadelphia looked like they really wanted to be out there. And then obviously once the score started getting away, they looked even less desirable. I was almost anticipating when they got the ball on offense, they would just take 3 knees, just kill that clock, man. I mean, it was that bad. Robert G, yes, I believe the Eagles made the Bucks look better than they really are, in my opinion. Yeah, I think there's a lot of truth to it. Now, but with that being said, like I said earlier, you show them enough respect to just go out there and play your best game and beat them down. Do everything you can to make sure they have zero chance that by the second half, fourth quarter, they're thinking about, man, what am I doing next week with all this free time? All right, the smoke. Let's go Lions, 1,000%. Jerome, good morning, coach. I was at the game. It was something I will never forget. During the playoffs, can players from the practice squad be poached by other teams? And when we win the Super Bowl, do they get a ring? So let's start with the second part. Yes, they would get a ring. The first part, can teams still grab them? Yes, on the practice squad, they still can be signed. It's just with less teams active right now, there's not really an incentive to sign a guy to pay him for something when he's not doing anything. So the only other teams that really have a chance to go get somebody or something in the postseason, they probably, if they haven't snagged somebody by now, they're probably not. Unless they just want to do it out of spite, I guess. All right, Big M, good morning, Dan, the Duke crew. Graham Glasgow is unappreciated free agent signing by Brad. Graham has been playing consistent and excellent football for Lions all year. Yeah, I know this. You're the second one, Big M, to bring that up today. I want to say, who was it? Jason talked about it earlier, and you guys are 100% right. He was, I think, originally the intention was he was going to be a sound backup to the center and guard, the guard situations. But he's ended up being a lot more than that because Big B went down. His back is probably ending his career. And you know what? Glasgow, good for him. He was drafted by the Lions. Obviously went away to Denver for a while. He's back with the Lions. And you talk about, it probably doesn't get mentioned enough. He's as much a Taylor Decker lengthy player with the Lions as anybody else, other than his couple of year hiatus to Denver. To be a part of this renaissance with the Lions and now be in the final 8 teams alive in the league, it's got to be a heck of a thing. And you know what? I hope they sign him in the offseason, bring him back. Robert, however, the Bucks defense played outstanding. Yeah, they've got some dudes on that defense. They can play. They can cause some problems. We are going to have to be able to run the ball. We're going to have to be as incredibly balanced on offense as we probably can be. If the pocket's clean, the running game sound, and I get, what was it, the second half of the game that D-Money went out and couldn't play, so then it was just Craig Reynolds in the backfield, whatever. But anyway, it's going to be a legit playoff game. I don't think anybody's blowing anybody out in this one. It might end up being a double-digit win. I'm hoping it is. It'd be great to say, the second half doesn't mean anything. We're in the Final Four, but I'm anticipating it's probably going to be like a 10-14 point game, and it'll probably end that way. I think the majority of the game, it's going to be pretty close. Michael, greetings, society coach and Duke crew. 4 more days! Exclamation points. Have a due day. I'm planning on it, man. Go Lions! Yeah, I'm running on fumes today. We had a game last night. Got home, did all the breakdowns and stuff until probably close to 1 a.m. I had to get up at about 4:30 to break down some more film for another game this week, and then get this ready. So it's going to be maybe a 2 Mountain Dew day for me. The Smoke Eagles are straight up garbage. Yeah. How, man, you guys let me know. Have you seen a team go from 10-1 to just a complete nosedive when, if you were to judge them just on the last 6 weeks or so, are they like one of the bottom 5 teams in the league? I mean, I've struggled to think of anybody who's melted down over that long a time when you were that strong to begin with. But whatever happened, man, it went south in a hurry. Smoke, Jalen needs the royal boot. Yeah, it might be. We'll see what they do. All right, Motown Mitch, Lions win Sunday, and here it is Wednesday, and still no voice. You had that good a time, huh, man? Well, I'm happy for you, man. I know you and a bunch of the dudes went to the game, and good for you, man. I hope you had a great one. Lions fan number one, greetings and salutations all. Let's go. And a lot of exclamation points. And hopefully you're having a great one there. Great morning. All right, Jason, the Commanders and Panthers have scheduled interviews with Ben Johnson about their vacant head coaching positions. Say it ain't so. You know, there's going to be more teams, I think. And I would anticipate you're going to see a lot of people want some of our assistants. I also know that some of our front office people are going to be poached. I'm going to be real honest. The way the last 3 or so drafts have gone, I think you're going to see a larger run on scouting personnel from the Detroit Lions, because I think it's safe to say at this point, the Lions are doing something incredibly right when it comes to identifying talent, scouting talent, and then finding things that other people miss. And let me tell you, my lifetime as a scout, if you can ID talent and the right personality traits that motivate somebody to get better and better, you're probably going to get picked up. And a lot of scouts ultimately want to become GMs or, something even more in the front office. So pay attention to that. But the Lions are going to lose some personnel, I would anticipate, this offseason. Hey, Eduardo, it's time to make the NFC title game! Exclamation point. Go Lions, all grit. Yes, I think you're right, Eduardo. I think you get this win this week. And, man, if the Packers can do us a solid, hosting the game, I get, hey, who do you want to match up with? And let me ask you guys, if you had your druthers, if you had your pick, do you want to see the 49ers in the title game, or do you want the Packers to have to come here? Let me know. But I can see pluses and minuses of both. I just like the idea of the Packers because it's here. And something you guys may or may not know, I may even do a little bit more of a piece on it later today, like a 5-minute video. But did you know that each home playoff game for the Detroit Lions is bringing in over $20 million to the greater Metro Detroit area? I mean, that's a pretty big economic boom or windfall, whatever you want to say, for Detroit. So good for them. And you know what? If you add 20 more to it, good for them. Hopefully they fix some roads and do some other stuff to help out the city. Quentin Griggs, salutations, y'all. Good morning. And this town about to blow the heck up Sunday night when we win. I would concur. I would say, yeah, you get a win that gets you to the NFC Championship game. Yeah, this town's going to go crazy. Here's another thought for you. You host the NFC title game. You win to get to the Super Bowl. How many people are calling in sick the next day? I can imagine that number is going to go up pretty high. All right, Jerome, hey, Coach, do you think it's a strategy other teams want Ben Johnson to take a head coaching job so he won't be successful this upcoming season? I wouldn't think so, just because you got to worry about your team first. You're going to hire Ben Johnson or whoever is a head coach because you believe that's best for your team. I wouldn't anticipate you're hiring somebody just for the reason of keeping it away from someone else. You're going to worry about your team and whatever you think is going to take you to the promised land, first and foremost, would be my opinion. Eduardo, at Jason, I found it funny when the broadcast highlighted us basically triple teaming Donald. We need to give Vita Vea the same treatment. Yeah, that's just a ton of respect for Aaron Donald. It's also a little bit of a slap in the face to the rest of the guys. I know they had some guys with some stats or whatever, but it's one thing to have stats. It's another thing in the playoffs when somebody says, hey, we're going to put 3 dudes on this guy and leave everybody else in single block coverage because we don't think you're winning that the vast majority of times. So it worked out, and we'll see what the Lions do, but you could be onto something, Eduardo, with changing some of the schematics of the offensive line, especially on run plays. Susan, good morning, everyone. How are we feeling about our defense for this game? I'm feeling pretty good about it. It doesn't mean it's going to be perfect. I think we all need to at least consider this. We don't have the secondary where we're going to, shut down other teams' top receivers or do this, that, or the other thing. But we also probably should appreciate that Aaron Glenn has figured out enough things that when's the last time we've given up over 30 points? It's been a while. It's become pretty consistent now. We're going to give up around 20 to mid 20 points a game. Now, if we can get a couple turnovers against Mayfield and the Bucks, that's going to help out a lot. So is Mayfield Stafford? I would throw to you guys. Is he Dak Prescott? Is he Nick Mullins? That's why I guess we're going to have to wait and find out. But if we can get to him, get some hits, there were a lot of times against the Rams where if Stafford doesn't get rid of that ball as quick as he did, there were going to probably be, I don't know, 3 to 5 more sacks in that game. So we'll see what happens. Mayfield is playing pretty well, so it's going to be a bit of a test. Eduardo at Susan, defense will eat over the last month. The most points we have allowed is 24. Wow, I'll talk about the foreshadowing. But yes, I agree. They're doing something right. They're doing enough to mask some of their deficiencies where early in the year, maybe we weren't so much. The smoke, it's going to be another close game, probably. Yeah, I would say, yeah, there's a strong probability of that. And Stephanie, greetings and salutations. Any injury updates? We should have them later today. The first reports will come out, whatever, noon, 1 o'clock, somewhere in that range. So pay attention to that. The smoke, let's go Lions, 1,000%. Eduardo, I'm I'm more worried about the offense disappearing for half the game. And Susan, last week, you're not wrong. That second half, it was almost non-existent. And, I talked about it in the post-game show a little bit. And then on Monday, I think a lot of that comes on Ben Johnson. I just thought he got incredibly conservative with the play calling. First half, I mean, they were letting it rip all over the place, really putting a ton of pressure on that defense. Second half, not so much. So they played, I think, very conservative. Bet Lady, good morning, Coach and the Dew Crew. Tampa Bay going down. Prediction, Lions 30-23. Go Lions, a team of destiny. I like the way you're thinking, Bet Lady. And you know what? That could be a pretty good prediction. I know I don't know if I put out an official number count on the prediction yet, but that I think is going to be about right. Big M, when the Lions played the Bucs earlier in the season, they were missing Gibbs and Money. Only played for a quarter and a half. That's right, when he got the rib injury, if I'm not mistaken. Lions barely had a running game. Running game going to be big on Sunday. Yeah, and that might have been, I won't say it was Goff's best performance of the year, but it was up there for sure because, like you alluded to, Big M, once Monty went down with the rib injury, Craig Reynolds was basically it for you at running back, and even he, if I'm not mistaken, got a little banged up in that game. So the Bucs basically didn't have to worry about the run as much. They were overplaying the pass, and still, Goff had one of his stronger games. Eduardo, I live in Bucs country, and I am already hearing it. Oh, boy, what are they saying to you, man? Everybody talking smack, I'm assuming. I've got one of my former assistant coaches. He retired, whatever, we'll say 5-6 years ago, and him and his wife moved down there. And Gabe's, I don't know, Gabe's probably upper 50s, maybe 60s, somewhere in that range. And he'd been a diehard Lions fan forever, but he said he had his heart broken enough that when they moved down there, he became a Bucs fan. And I haven't talked to him a lot this year, but I told him, that we're going to have a heck of a season, whatever. If the Bucs end up losing the Lions, I feel bad for him because, he's been a Lions fan most of his life. And he said his heart was broken too much. Now he's a Bucs fan. Of course, who beats the Bucs in the playoffs? The Lions. So I'm feeling for him, man. All right, let's smoke. This isn't the same Bucs we played. No, they've improved definitely 100% there. And one could argue the Lions have too. So it's going to be a game. Nobody should overlook anybody. Just because you beat somebody in the regular season, that don't mean anything in the postseason. Clark, greetings and salutations. How much has this team changed? Our teams want our coaches and front office people. You got a good point there, man. Eduardo, the smoke, and we aren't the same team either. Correct. And I would say this. So you want an example of things. Look at the year the Buccaneers won the Super Bowl with Tom Brady. I think they lost to the Saints twice in the regular season, and yet the Bucs won in the postseason. End of the day, that's probably the only one anybody in Tampa worries about. How would you attack Tampa? How would I? Because I know they're going to blitz a ton, there would be a lot of crossing patterns, and I probably would get Jameson Williams involved a lot, either on shallow crossers or deep fly post routes, just because while Tampa Bay's defense, I think, is pretty good, I also think they're not, I don't want to say they're unathletic in the secondary. I just don't think they're overly athletic. So that would really put some pressure on them, especially early in the game. If you can hit them with some of those shots and try to force them out of their coverages, their traditional coverages, and then put Winfield a little bit more in from an isolated set to a more of a two safety set. I don't remember their other safety's name offhand, but that's probably what I would do. I would use the pass to open up the run. versus I know Ben Johnson likes to use the run to open up the pass. I'd be completely opposite with it. I'm going to be aggressive, especially early in the game. All right, Darcy, good morning, all. Good morning to you too. The smoke, run. Okay. Big M, pound the rock. Jason, same old Lions. SOL, same old Lions is now TOD, Team of Destiny. Woo! I like that. Maybe we should put that in tomorrow's thumbnail. The smoke, Gibbs, Monty, runs 20 carries each. You might see it. That would be definitely a commitment to the running game. The smoke, let's go Lions, 1,000%. Little John Flowers, greeting salutations. A lot of our better players weren't in the game this year. Could we play even better Sunday? We could. I just think the Bucs are going to play better too. If I remember right, Mike Evans played that game, but that was his first game back after a hamstring injury, and he was effective, but I don't think he was quite full strength. So we'll have to see really what shakes out, because let's be fair. If you made it this far into the season and then the postseason, you're here for a reason. You're no slouch. You got here, and you know what? You can fight back. Steve, good morning, Dan O'Damas. Although I can't jump on every morning, I really enjoyed this show, and I think you're a class act. Thanks for that, man. Keep up the good work. Thanks very much for that, Steve. That means a lot. So appreciate it, and hope you enjoy the show today too. Robert, pressure Baker, force him to make mistakes. Yeah, I'm all for that, man. I think, if you play passive, you will get ate up. And Baker is, he's mobile enough where he is a bit of a double threat. He can get out there and run. He can get you some yards. He's probably not going 52 yards for a touchdown on the ground, but he can consistently pick up, 4, 5, 8 yards rushing. And you know what? That's enough to move chains over time. Trey, what's good all? Good morning. Good morning to you too. Hopefully I'm going to do one. Jerome, hey coach, it's all hands on deck. Will James Houston play? What's the big secret with him? We need this Super Bowl run now. Can't wait another 30 plus. It's the question I can't answer for whatever reason. And I know I reported on it. It might have been right around Thanksgiving that I was hearing that his medical staff had cleared him, said good to go. Obviously, the Lions medical staff must have had some pause or reason to say we're going to wait a little bit. That little bit's been 2 months now. And the reasoning why he's not back on the field at this point, unless there's just really something with that lower leg injury that isn't quite right, I don't know. I am surprised that he isn't out there, if for no other reason, to give you another pass rush body. But if the lower leg injury isn't right, then you got to understand why the Lions haven't put him in. All right, the smoke. I knew when Beverly Hills Cop was coming out in 2024, Michigan would win the College Bowl and Lions would win a Super Bowl to bring in a new dynasty to the NFC, to the North NFC. And I like it. And that's right. Yeah, the new Beverly Hills Cop. Does it come out this year? I remember seeing the previews, but I don't remember exactly when the date was. Yeah, that's going to be something. Another boom for Michigan, right, with more publicity for it. What do you got? Smoke, Senecrassi. All right. Property Lord, good morning, Duke crew. Thank you, and good morning to you too. Big M, our running game will open up the play action pass that Goff is so good at. You could be right. And if you do that, you're going to have a pretty good outing here. But again, no disrespect to the Bucs D, because I think they're pretty decent. They're pretty special. All right, Robert G, totally agree with you at Steve Hook. Dan is class act with YouTube. Thanks for that, guys. Thanks for that. Means a lot. Yeah, I enjoy doing this. Like I said, I don't do this for any kind of real financial gain or anything like that. Nobody's paying for anything other than maybe I'm getting some free Mountain Dews and hot dogs out of it. So I do thank you for that. I guess there is the financial reward for it, but I enjoy every morning getting up and doing this with you guys. So it's a part of my day, and I hope it doesn't ever change. All right, Silver Surfer, hello, everyone. Hopefully Gibbs over 100 yards rushing, and JMO, yes, JMO over 100 yards receiving, even with 2 catches. Yeah, you seen what he did last time, and I do believe, and they are trying to get him more and more involved. It's just, he is still developing. The smoke, Detroit is going to Super Bowl 58 is biblical. Yes, the Detroit Lions going to the Super Bowl 58 would be a biblical performance, and you know what? It would be something that, I know I mentioned it yesterday. I want to believe that the Lions are going to be playoff contenders, Super Bowl contenders for the next umpteen years. But as we all are aware, if you're watching this show and you're a Lions fan, don't overlook this moment. Embrace every second of it. I totally get why people are trying to race out to the Lions home playoff games, because you just never know what the future will hold. We want to believe this is going to become the new norm, but embrace it while it's here. That would be the biggest word of advice I give to anybody. Angie, hey Dan, I just read that the Lions are the only NFL team operational for the entirety of the Super Bowl era not to appear. Is it just me? I'm feeling like it could be our time. It could be. And also, I guess it comes down to how you want to view the Browns. I know there are 4 teams that haven't made the Super Bowl. Jacksonville's one of them. I want to say the Texans. Obviously, both those teams have only been around, I don't know, 20, 30 years or so. The Browns, while it's true the Cleveland Browns have never made the Super Bowl, it's also kind of a catch-22, because the Browns that became the Ravens have won the Super Bowl. The Cleveland Browns, before they became the Ravens, never made it. And then the Browns expansion team that became the Browns did it. So I guess, it depends on how you view the Cleveland Browns aspect. But you are correct, without any kind of hiccups or whatever, Ange, that the Lions are the only team that have been around prior to winning before the Super Bowl started to now that have not been in it. Now, with that being said, just a bonus bit of knowledge for you guys. Do you realize that the Detroit Lions are still like number 17 as far as amount of championship wins in the league? So that just shows how dominant they were in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, where they're still ranked basically middle of the pack in the league as far as titles. Lincoln Clay, Dave Montgomery will be an X factor to open up the play fake. Yeah, 100%. Big M, Tampa has a short week. That is true too. We need to wear the Bucks down. Yeah, they're going to have one less day to recover. They're going to have to do one less day of time off, just because you can't give obviously Monday off. You played Monday. Tuesday is going to be a rushed day, because even though you probably should have the next day off following a game, you just don't have that kind of time. So what that means is yesterday, literally, they had to come back into the offices or, practice facilities or whatever and begin film breakdown, positional coaches stuff. Though they should be fairly good to go from a mental and physical standpoint on Sunday. But you are right. It is one less day of rest. Drum, hey, coach. Winning brings a lot of attention and pressure. Do coaches and players talk to therapists before a big game to calm down, or is that silly? No, you're onto something, Jerome. A lot of people, what do I want to say here? The sports anxiety or therapy, maybe would be another way to put it, profession has really exploded in the last, I don't know, we'll say 20, 30 years. There are a lot of guys in college, or a lot of athletes. I don't want to just say guys, but there are a lot of athletes at the college level that now use it, and definitely at the professional level, because people are constantly aware it's a very unique business. You either perform or you're gone. And with the NFL, especially, look at the stars today. Look at the stars 4 years ago. Look at the stars 4 years beyond that. See how fast careers, fade in the NFL. It's not like the NBA. It's not like, I'm assuming, Major League Baseball and even the NHL, where guys, even though you maybe not at the peak anymore, you're still kind of relevant. It's just because of the injuries and the physical nature of the NFL that players typically go from here to here real quick. And a lot of that is a mental component. So you are correct. A lot of players do look into talking to people about stuff and try to help them get as much out of their careers as possible. Trey, grand rising all, or rising to all. I trust all is well with all of you in the chat. Lions versus Ravens in the bowl. Lions will win. They will battle tested the rest of the way, but the writing is on the wall. I like the way you're thinking, Trey. And yes, rising to you as well. Hopefully having a great one. And Lions versus Ravens. We got smacked by them earlier in the year. Wouldn't that be something? We come back and I'll beat them in the Super Bowl. I'll take that 100%. You know why? I'll be honest. We just make the Super Bowl. It'd be great if we win it, but you know what? I'll just be happy as death can be if we just get into it. We win it though, man. I will be taking the next day off work. Maybe not from the chat, maybe not from the show, but from work. All right, Donkey Kong. Boom. Here we go. Now we go. Super Bowl or bust. Thank you for that very much. Now we can get the day going. Robert G. Woo! At Donkey Kong. All right, Silver Surfer. Sutton's toe hasn't been talked about. That is true. That is fundamental. Yes, it could be affecting his ability to play, but give him kudos for playing through it. Anthony, good morning, Duke Crew. I just hope our team doesn't take for granted that we beat the Bucs in their house, and this isn't going to be 26. No, it probably will not be 20-6 again. I'm expecting more out of the Bucs offense, but I'm also hoping our offense does a little bit more too. We'll see what happens on Sunday. Donkey Kong, Lions can do it! Exclamation points. They play a lot better than a team that they are better than, and we win on Sunday. All right, I'll take it. We will win on Sunday. General Brown, how are we doing? I suppose we won't hear any more talking about how we should have taken Carter or kept Swift. Probably not at this point. That is a good point there. Yeah, I think everybody's pretty happy with the Gibbs-Laporta situation. And you know what? You're right, General. We haven't heard anybody talk about that in a wee bit. The crowd has silenced on that aspect. Big M, I wish other teams couldn't talk to other teams' coaches while in the playoffs push for the title. Plenty of time after the Super Bowl has been played to interview. Yeah, they won't get interviewed and physically interviewed until after the season comes to an end. Silver Surfer, please, Houston, come back. Lions need that injection of talent, power, and explosion. Plus, when he tackle, I mean, he destroys. Yes, and I'm really hopeful that he's out there Sunday, even if it's limited capacity. That'd be great. Man Bear, good morning, all. Good morning to you, too. Gary, still not liking how Ben Johnson doesn't change up when defenses switch up to stop us. Yeah, he's going to have to figure some things out. I know we talked about it that the second half last week, man, that was pretty stagnant and bad. And you know what? It also means you need to give a lot of kudos, or we need to give a lot of kudos to the defense, because they did not get a lot of time off the field against the Rams in the second half. Robert, the stars are aligning. I like it. Maybe Dan O'Damas can give us some other predictions later in the week for this particular game. All right, David Dickerson, what do you got? Good morning, Dan and Duke Crew. It's great to be a Lions fan in another state, and everyone is congratulating me on how well we are doing. Well, I hope you're embracing it, enjoying it, because you know what? If you've been a fan for a while, you probably haven't had a lot of moments like this. Fletch Lives, good morning from Nippy, Florida. I think the previous game we had with Tampa Bay will be a huge help in game planning. Yeah, you'll be able to look for some schematic similarities, maybe a little bit of a tip off what to expect in certain situations. So I think you are correct. Silver Surfer, hopefully draft and free agent will bring young and powerful O-line and fast corners. Starling Thomas, where you at? I want to say he's at San Diego? Don't hold me to that, but that sounds right. So let me know if I'm wrong on that. Gary, that's right, Dan. Keep the foot on their throat. Don't let up. Yeah, don't ever do it. You get somebody down, you beat them down. You beat them down until there are zeros on the score clock as far as time remaining. So yeah, I'm not a fan of ever taking the foot off the gas. Robert G, I do believe MCDC has them all locked in and laser focused. Yeah, I would agree. You look at how our coaching staff is wired, and not just MCDC, but all of them, and how the players are wired, our personality traits, our dominant personality traits throughout. Yeah, I think they're going to be pretty laid in and focused, as you're saying, laser focused on this game. Burns, if we win, Sheila needs a game ball. It's not a bad idea there. That's not a bad idea at all. She's the one who started this. Trey, plus when Aiden, Sun God, and Goff were getting interviewed after the game, they looked very poised, and you know they belong and have a legitimate shot. Yeah. They know, like you're saying, Trey, they know where they're at. They know the situation. They don't want to blow this. They want to go ahead and get the next one. Max, do we know anything about Sheila Ford's meeting with the NFL commissioner? I believe this occurred after Dallas Sauce. It did occur. The privy of it all, or basically what do you get out of it? Probably not a whole lot. I didn't hear a ton of what was said. I know the NFL immediately after I shouldn't say immediately, but within hours or the next day or whatever it was, of scheduling that meeting, they put out the video, how to go through the process of reporting. I would also say, if nothing else, Sheila probably made a push for certain types of crews or officiating standards to be used with the Lions, especially this year now that you're relevant. I get, and I talked about it when it all happened. In the past, when you weren't a good team, I get the reasoning for signing, the C or D crews, the ones in development or getting their feet wet, getting experience against the Lions, because you know what, that game's not going to affect the playoffs. But that wasn't the case with Dallas. It isn't the case now. You should have some very good crews, obviously, because you're in the final few games of the season. So I don't think there's really going to be anything more that comes out of it other than maybe in the future the Lions get for a season or two bumped up the list of what crews they're getting. All right. Mike M. Tampa Bay relies on the blitz maybe more than any other team. This is probably accurate. Going to be very important not only to run the ball well, but for Goff to hit on short passes quickly to avoid sacks. Correct. Yeah. They're going to have, if they're not game planning all week for that, then you know what? They're asleep at the wheel. So I'm anticipating they're working on that right now. Mile, what do you got? Glasgow is Lion vet for sure. Keep him. Yes, I don't think he'll be leaving, but I would anticipate they're going to re-sign him. Eduardo at Big M got to scheme up different things for this running game. Has been as it has disappeared since Dallas. Yes, teams are attacking our line differently to stop the run and give them some credit for that. But to your point, Ben Johnson has to come up with some things to help augment that or fight that. You're going to have to throw, like I said earlier in the show, you're going to have to throw to set up the run, in my opinion. All right, Silver, Vita Vea and Cansey are tough, though. Tough assignments, 100%. Eduardo, my biggest concern is the last game we blew out a team and they come ready to play and we came out flat. I hope that doesn't happen with Tampa. Yeah, I would hope not, especially considering everything that's on the line. Hootscar, I'm hoping now that we have that 32-year monkey and Goff got to this off, the offense plays a much more loose game against the Bucs, and the defense line keeps Mayfield in check on both sides. Correct. I would say so, yeah. If you keep him from running, keep some pressure on him, maybe get a few errant throws out of him or a couple tips like last time, get a few turnovers, that really could be the difference in the game. Gary, what do you got? Great salutations, everyone. Exclamation point. AG should move Hutch around on the D-line like you did in that last game against Minnesota. Open up opportunity for cleanup sacks for the others. Yeah, I think you are correct. Like last year, I know a couple people in the chat have pointed out, like last year where they moved around, made it a little bit harder. They've done it more in the last month and a half than they did the first half of the year. But I think you're 100% right. You got to move him around. That's when he seems to be at his best. Curtis, good morning, Coach. Sam Laporta, 80 yards, two touchdowns. I like it. I like it a lot. I expect all Lions fans would. Eduardo, the key to beating Tampa Bay is the New Orleans game. They had Baker looking lost and the defense looking lost. I hope they take something from that game. I'm 100%. I would say, yeah, you're going to be looking, if you're Aaron Glenn, for things they struggled with so you can incorporate that into your setups. So good call on your part, Eduardo. Gardner, what do you got? Cheese heads. All right. Who doesn't like cheese? Sanders, Broderick Martin, where are we looking at here? Is he a lost cause? No, I think he's probably somebody that you'll be getting more out of next year. It's just my guess. I don't know, but my guess is he probably ultimately needed more development than they anticipated. So see him next year. Nothing wrong with that. So, if we don't need him right now, go for it. Wait for next year. Dale, have y'all seen the Tampa reporter on this morning's news that didn't know Ford Field was a dome stadium? I have not seen that, but you know what? If you're from Tampa and you didn't know, well, you probably need to figure that out pretty quick. So we're talking about scouting. I was yelling, get Michael Keaton Mitchell instead of Mo Abraham. Career already over. You're all right. We'll go with that. Robert G, I would like Lions versus Green Bay. All right, Lions versus Green Bay. Keep letting me know what you guys want out of that. General Brown, the draft will bring more loot to the state also. This is also true. Yeah, I didn't consider that part, but man, you get 3 playoff games here and then the draft. Yeah, that should really help, for some short-term boom or economic boom, I should say, for the greater Metro Detroit area. Silver Surfer, you shouldn't have told me about ticket prices. Hey, it happens, man. I don't think there's any way avoiding it. As of at least when I did that report yesterday, I think the cheapest prices around were I don't know, 550. Maybe there were a few slightly below that, but my anticipation is every day we get closer, those prices are probably going one way. Robert G, a rematch of Thanksgiving with a whole different outcome. I'd be all for it. Detroit D, defend the den 100%. Big M at Eduardo, I agree, bro. Ben seems to go away from establishing the run in the second half. Hope he sticks with run game after half in this game. Yeah, 100%. Ryan Eagle's been playing like they are bucking the system. Should be illegal and punishable. Yeah, I've just never seen a team just fall apart that completely, in all phases. Silver Server, thank goodness people are not like me. Stadium would be empty. Hey, everybody's different, man. And, I do get it. You've waited so long for something like this to happen. When will it happen again? A lot of people are cashing in. Detroit D, must take deep shots to keep the defense honest and not loading up on the run. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I would be very aggressive to force them out of some coverages. And like I said earlier, I'd use the pass to set up the run. All right, Dale, Eagles players quit on their coaches, I believe. Yeah, I would say there's probably a lot of truth to that. Burns, I say lock scout team in basement and report them missing. That'd be one way to retain them all, but give them kudos because it's not just Brad Holmes. It's a lot of the scouts you employ to go out there and grind for months and months and months, evaluating players either on film or in person. And the Lions have specifically targeted, I'd say they're wanting alpha personalities with some analytical traits. So that means people that are just wired a very particular way. They want somebody who can come in, work hard. Maybe a couple of the guys that might put into amicable personalities, but as long as they're driver amicable personalities, you're probably okay. If they're the majority of the personalities are just amicable, yeah, don't keep them on the team. And that's probably what you have too much of in Philadelphia, if you ask me. All right, Garden, our red zone defense is pretty stout. Covering in the open field, not so much. That there's probably a whole lot of truth to that. A whole lot of truth. Yeah, I would agree with that. Detroit D, Hutch gets 2 sacks and forced fumble. Baker gives us 1 INT. I would take that in a heartbeat. All right, Eduardo, I want to see how we stack up against San Francisco. I believe we are a younger version of them. That could, overall, I think you are correct. I think they are getting a little bit up there at some key positions. Car, this would be the perfect game to highlight the deep ball with J-Mo, Donovan Peoples-Jones, and Josh Reynolds. Good call there. Detroit D, 20-10 Lions win heading to NFC Championship. I'll take it. Detroit D also. Ben Johnson has to stay aggressive for the entire game. I think we're all in agreement there. Kara, what do you have? It seems like the teams whose defensive looks strong are blitzing heavy and clogging the middle of the field with the linebackers and safeties. Expose them. Yeah, I agree. That's why I think you're going to have to use the pass to set up the run for that reason. Good call there. Merlot, what do you got? Jay Lewis asked the question earlier. How do they handle the pressure, or is that the first hit will relieve the jitters and muscle memory takes over? I think there's a lot of truth to the second part of what you're saying there about the muscle memory taking over. Most players in any sport, you get pre-game jitters, but once that game gets going, especially something like football, once you get that first hit or two out of the way, the body just kind of relaxes. You forget about all the nuances you were focused on before the game because now you're just focused on what's happening in front of you, living in the moment. Robert G, 42-17 Lions win. That would be a heck of a thing. You know what? Everybody would be super pumped the rest of that game because the second half, based on that score, I'm guessing you're just celebrating and knowing what's coming the following week. Uncle Buzz, what do you got? Many of Mayfield's passing yards were yak after missed tackles. And you know what? The Eagles had a boatload of missed tackles. Detroit D, outside zone run game, and I would like to see Gibbs in the screen game. I would like to see that too, just because they are going to blitz a ton. The screens will be there for sure. Terrence, it was insane in there last week, but this week will be madness. Yeah, I would agree. 2 teams are going to enter. Only one's going to leave victor. And you know what? That's a Mad Max Thunderdome reference in case you didn't get it. But I do think it's going to be our team walking out alive. Fletch lives. Do you think Lions get Jesse Minter if he leaves? It's possible. It is possible. Eduardo Mayfield is closer to Mullins than he is Stafford or Dak. There could be a lot of truth to that. And, I don't want to be disrespectful of Mullins because I actually think that kid's got a lot of talent. He's just got to clean up a few things. He reminds me a lot of a Brett Favre. He can fire it. He can throw it around. It's just he relies too much on that arm strength at times, sort of like a Favre, or I guess you could say a Stafford. Somebody that just probably got away with it the majority of their life being a throw into tight windows. And at this level, you're going to get picked when you do that if you do it too much. Bet lady, first play on offense for the Lions. If it's me, Flea Flicker. Robert G, that would be pretty awesome. Matt Fletch, yes. Silver Server, better keep an eye on Trey Palmer, fast and slippery. Another one I liked for us in the draft. Instead, trade for Broderick Martin. Let us hope they are right. Seems like having no explosion to me. It could be, but I mean, again, not every rookie comes in and does a ton. The Lions, though, they've hit on a lot of rookies this year. Bet lady, first play on offense for Lions. Bucks load up the box. 8 expect to run. Goff calls audible and bombs a JMO down the sideline for a TD. That's what we need right there. I take it. So I take it. I'll go with the flea flicker or what you're saying there. All right, James Mitchell, we have to start using Peoples-Jones. He might have his opportunity here this week, I think. Harris Villian, what do you got? Craig Reynolds hit a dude with another dude last time they played Tampa. Should let him be a gunner this week. Yeah, that was a heck of a block, and he got St. Brown into the end zone. All right, Kara, against the Eagles, the broadcast showed how open the middle of the field was during the blitz, but the receivers were running routes away from those gaps, and Jalen was only targeting D. Smith. Yes, I would agree that if you go back and watch it, a lot of those crossing patterns would have been wide open if you wanted to use them and throw them. When would you got green citation? Everybody, Duodamus. maybe we'll have to get both of them on the show at the same time. Duodamus and Danodamus. All right, Silver Server, Lions will not sleep on anyone. I think you are correct there. Bet lady, tidbit, Lions got a decent officiating crew for this game, and they do not call many penalties. That could be something, something to pay attention to, but really the rest of the way, like I know I mentioned earlier, you should only be getting A-list crews from here on out. There's just not enough games left to be using any of the C or D ones. They didn't even make the playoffs. Maybe a few members of those crews got elevated, but overall those crews are back where they should be, developing and getting ready for next year. So we should have good crews the rest of the way. Troy, we were missing C.J. Gardner-Johnson, E-Man, Gibbs, Jonah, Monty after the second quarter. Laporta was questionable if he was out. No Vildor. We will bring a completely different look than we did in the first game. You're at 100% right. You know what? And the other part of that is, let's also remember, Will Harris was a starter that game, if I'm not mistaken. He was a starter on defense at cornerback for that entire game. Dalton Harris, which receiver on the Bucks poses the biggest threat this week? They've got a couple dudes. I don't want to say just one, but they've got a couple guys with wheels. And then, of course, you got Mike Evans with size and some speed. So they're going to have some matchups that are going to be favorable to them. Big M, MCDC will have the Lions ready for this game. I would agree with that. Troy, hoping we will have Khalif back this week. That will be one to pay attention to for sure, because he would add another element to the return game, but also the passing game. Shah G, we got defense is going to give up big plays as long as they are not costly big plays. Mike Evans going to get his stats. It's about the front line to make Baker uncomfortable. Agreed. Phil, good day, coach. Good day to you too, Philly. How you doing? And any more guitar photos for us? Let me know when you get a moment, man. All right, Troy, Rams took the Ravens out in OT. We bring the right game plan, we can get the W. I would agree. I would agree with that. Mike M., huge Lions fan here in Las Vegas. Looking forward to rolling out the silver and blue carpet here at Allegiant Stadium for the Lions. Now, that would be a great moment, wouldn't it? Mr. Natural, got to keep the Lions on the path, the Super Bowl path. I like the way you're thinking. Phil, is Kirby Joseph a dirty player? High hits, low hits mean nothing, but he plays very angry. If you're going to call him dirty, then you're going to call, Ronnie Lott, Ed Reed, and a lot of guys that are in the Hall of Fame dirty. It's a contact sport. It stinks when somebody gets hit and they get injured, but you know what? It's part of the position. His position is to disrupt the ball, disrupt passing routes, etc. The NFL does not want you hitting people up high near the head or neck. So you're leaving the chest and the lower legs. And when you're facing someone like a tight end who's maybe got 20 or 30 pounds on you, if you hit him up in the chest area, you're probably not taking him to the ground. So you're telling the player you've got to hit him down low in order to disrupt him and get him on the ground. That's, I think, the tough part a lot of DBs, especially corners, or excuse me, safeties, face when taking down significantly bigger, heavier players. Phil, did Bobby enjoy her trip or tip? She did, and she did say thank you. I should have said that yesterday, but yes, she said thank you very much. She's not really, I think, fully aware of what YouTube and Lions Talk Live is. She just understands that Coach Dan gave some tips. I've tried to explain to her a few, and you know what? Maybe she'll probably get it eventually. Maybe I'll have to try to host a show there. And then at that point, maybe she'll understand, Phil. Burns, I hope Sheila needs a prosthetic foot after losing hers in Goodell's butt. Yeah, well, that could be a case. I'm sure she expressed herself eloquently and made a few outstanding points. Here's Phil. If you watch film of the fans' teams that are complaining about Kirby, you'll find multiple instances of their players tackling the same way. It is a legal hit. Fans just get their feelings too much. Yeah, when somebody gets hurt, people overreact. They want to blame somebody. But to me, at least I don't see anything dirty there. You're going to see other hits similar to that this weekend. Hopefully nobody gits hurt. It's unfortunate. All right, a couple more here, and then it's about due 30 for me. Big M, I read Detroit area will get an estimate 20 million plus in revenue for this weekend's game. Yes, and that's also what I heard. So kudos for the area of Detroit, because that means you've brought in roughly 40 million in the last half month. We win here. Green Bay does us a solid and wins in San Fran. You're going to bring in another 20 or more million the following week. Mr. Natural Bullseye, 100%. Yep. Michael, if AG leaves, we should hire Martindale as DC. That's a possibility and not a bad thought. Or actually, at BitLady, the crew that we got leads the league in penalties calls per game. Okay. Phil, if Ben leaves, does he take Goff with him? Only if he's trading for him. And I guess that would come down to what are you giving up to get him? At BitLady, Eduardo O'Neill, I think the stat I had was related to the games that they have called when the Lions were involved. Sorry for the incomplete data. Hey, it happens, man. Robert, have a great day. Dan and crew, have a great day to you too. Jason, thanks, Coach. Anytime. Moonskar, see you, Coach. Go Wolves. All right. Thanks for that. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up here. Hopefully, you all have a great day. If you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so. Trying to make that final push to get to 5,700, maybe even 5,800 by kickoff this Sunday. And I want to say we're like 30 subs away from hitting 57. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a thumbs up. If there's some breaking news, I'll try to get to you later today as quick as I can. Otherwise, take care, and we'll see you all in the next Lions Talk Live. See you, everybody.